new discussion. Okay, so today, right now, what we will do is we will cover the next portion. So as I had explained in the previous class. Okay, so in the previous class, I had explained you that even if you take if you take any material, so there'll be Avogadro number of atoms. Okay, so for example, I will take a iron. If I take iron block, okay, of something like 1 meter by 1 meter, then what happens? There are 10 raised to 28 atoms. So how they are arranged is, so even if this is your block of iron, then what happens? This we are seeing at very small scale. So there will be iron atom here, iron atom here, iron atom here. So you'll have so many iron atoms which are next to each other, and they are bound. They are having some bonding. Okay, then it becomes a strong material. If there is no bonding, then it becomes a less strong, like your glass. Okay, so now if I want to show this atom, so these are each of the atoms. So instead of showing atom in like this, what I will do is we will represent our quantum mechanical way of representing the atom, which is nothing but, so even if you take your this block, so this is your first atom. It has two energy levels. Let us assume it can be having maybe one, two, or sorry, it may be having two, or it may be having more energy levels. So I'm just, for our sake, I'm going to put there are two energy levels, E1, E2 are the two energy levels. So if I write like this, that means each one is a atom. Okay, so this is the one atom. So this is your second atom, third atom. Okay, so in the same way, I can have a fourth atom here, then a fifth atom here, so on. Okay, so you can keep writing this in 3 dimension, then it becomes a 3 dimensional block. Okay, so this is I showed only 2 dimensional here, but it can be 3 dimension. Okay, so then it will look something like this. So now what we do is, so these are you can have like a large number of atoms. Again, it depends on the what kind of material you are talking. Okay, so let us assume like there are 10 raised to 28 atoms. What I will do, I have written only 6 atoms. Okay, out of that I am writing 6 atoms. I am taking only 6 atoms. Then I will send 3 photons. Okay, so I will send 3 photons of energy. E2 minus E1 is equal to h nu. So then what happens? This is your first photon. So let us assume this is your second photon, and there is a third photon here. Okay, so in this case, after this photon is sent this block of iron, then what happens? 3 atoms will go to the excited state. Okay, will go to excited state by what is the process? What is the process? You should tell me. So if you send photons to your atom, and then this atom is going to the excited state, what is this process called? What is the name for that process?
Sir,
Induced
induced absorption.
induced absorption. Okay, so yes, good. So it is induced absorption. Ananya also told. So induced absorption. So it is an induced absorption. So through induced absorption, what happens? 3 atoms are in excited state out of 6. So now what happened? 3 atoms are in ground state. So if I write just atom, that means it is in ground state. Then 3 atoms are in excited state. Okay. So now I want to know how many number of atoms are in E1 and how many number of atoms are in E2. How to know that is what we call as to define the number of atoms which are present in the given energy state, we call it as a population. Okay, so population of an energy level. So if you want to say population of an energy level, that means it will give the number of atoms which are present in that energy level. Okay, so it is nothing but I will write in a different color, number of atoms present in a given energy level, present in a given energy. Okay, So this is your what we call as a population. So how do you get this population is by using the formula called as Boltzmann equation. Okay, we are going to use something called as Boltzmann equation, and then this Boltzmann equation will give the number of atoms which are present in that energy state. Okay, uh, so n is equal to n naught e to power of e n naught e to power of minus e by kt. Okay, or k is your Boltzmann constant. K is Boltzmann constant, and then sometimes they will call it as kb. Okay, you can also call it as kb or just k. So kb is your Boltzmann constant. T is the temperature. So if I am talking about room temperature, then it is I will call this as absolute temperature. Okay, so it can be room temperature or any temperature wherever it is. Okay, then n naught is a number of this is a population of ground state. Population of ground state. Okay, so this is your Boltzmann equation. You have to remember this. So Boltzmann equation gives the population of a given energy level. Okay, so we will come to that again. So someone asked just a question. Okay, okay. So if you take any material, okay. So for someone asked that how I need to explain this Fe block. Okay, so I will just try to explain this. So if you take any metal or any material, so I am taking a metal of iron, then what happens? Even if you take 1 meter by 1 meter block, so there will be 10 raised to 28 atoms. So how they are arranged is they are arranged just next to each other. Sometimes they may be in groups of atoms. Okay. So it is like if you take your class will be having like 52 students. Okay. So if I say L section means there is 52 students. In the same way, if I tell if I ask, like if I'm talking about a block of material, then there will be some known number of atoms. Okay, it depends on the size of your material. So those things we don't worry. So let us assume there are like 10 raised to 28 atoms. Okay, so how do you represent or how do you represent it in a block is you have this one is the first, this is your first iron block, iron atom, second iron atom, this is third iron atom. Okay, so these are each one is each circle is your atoms. So this is for iron. If it is a if it is something like copper, then what you do, you just put copper, then it becomes a copper metal. Okay. In the same way, if it is a salt like your NaCl, then what happens? There is Na here, Cl here, Na here, again Cl, NaCl. So something like this. Okay. So it is this is your structure of a NaCl. If you see some microscopic structure of this NaCl, then what happens? You'll have Na. This is your Na atom, sodium atom, chlorine atom. So then again sodium atom. This is because you need to have pairing. Okay, so there is one positive ion, next negative ion, again positive, negative, like that. Okay. So now what I am doing, I am just taking a simple example of your iron because it is very easy, okay, to explain. So now if you take what I am considering is there may be 10 raised to 28. So here I wrote like 9 atoms. I represented 9 atoms. So in that 9 atom, I am just writing only 6 atoms here. Okay, 6 atoms in this is your quantum picture. So in quantum picture, how do you represent atom is by using energy levels. So let us assume iron has two energy levels, E1 and E2. So some atoms they can have even more than two. It can be 3, 4, but minimum is two. You need minimum two energy levels. Okay. So now, if these are 6 atoms, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to send 3 photons. Okay, of energy E2 minus E1 is equal to h nu. So when I send these 3 photons, what happens? They will interact with any three. It can be any three. Okay, it need not be always the first atom. It can be second and third atom, or it can be last 3 atoms. I'm just giving some representation. Okay, so these 3 photons will interact with 3 of the atoms out of 6. Then what happens? They will make that 3 atoms to go to the excited state. So now 3 atoms are in excited state, and out of 6, 3 atoms are in ground state. Okay, I just give equal numbers, then it is easy for to understand. Okay, or if you just send 2 photons, what happens? 2 photons are in excited state, and 4 photons are in ground state. Okay, so we'll write that also. Okay, so if I send 2 photons, then what happens? 4 atoms are in ground state and 2 atoms are in excited state. So now I want to know how many number of photons are in excited state, E2, and how many number of atoms are in E1. So how to do that is, it is defined as your population of an energy state. So population of energy state gives the number of atoms which are present in that given energy level. Okay, so that is your population, and it is numerically given by your Boltzmann equation. Boltzmann equation is n is equal to n naught e to power of minus e by kBt. Okay, so you have to remember this equation, so that will give the your number of atoms in a given energy state. So I think this is clear for you, right? Is it clear? Population means it gives the number of atoms which are present in a given energy state. Okay, so is it clear? Can I go to the next one? Okay. So I will now explain the your Boltzmann factor. Okay, so I thought I could write in the next previous one, but there is no sufficient place. Okay, so now we will talk about Boltzmann factor. Okay, so we will tell what is this Boltzmann factor. Okay, so as we told, n represent the number of atoms which are given in a energy state. Okay, E by kBt. So this gives a number of atoms which are present in a given energy state. So now I am interested in 2 energy levels. So let us assume E2 and E1 and E2 are the 2 energy levels, and let us assume N1 is the number of atoms, and I will call. So normally this refers to, you have to just go to the previous slide. Okay, so you have to just remember the previous slide, that if you take any material, there are n number of atoms. So that there may be large number of atoms. So, and out of that, you may do some manipulation like this. You may make some 2 atoms to undergo induced absorption. So out of 6, now what happened? 4 atoms are in ground state, 2 atoms are in excited state. So that means 4 atoms are in E1, 2 atoms are in E2. So, or if I send 3 photons, then what happens? 3 photons are in E1, 3 atoms are in E1, 3 atoms are in E2. So that means that is the population. We are not talking about only one energy level, we are talking about the entire material. Okay, so entire material, how many number of photons are present in lower energy level, and how many number of photons are present in higher energy level. So that is your n, capital N. Okay, so now what I did is I just defined 2 populations. So the population of E2 is N2. That means we will take a very big block of material, and we will count the number of atoms which are present in E2. So that I will call, so there is atom here, there is atom here, there is atom here, like that. Okay. So now I will count all the atoms which are in E2, which E2 means it is in excited state. So that will represent the N2. Okay. And then I will take all the atoms, I will count the atoms which are in E1, then I will call that as N1. Okay. So this is like you have to just, if you take, as I was telling, there are 52 students in the class, then I will call N1 is the number of boys and N2 is the number of girls, or N1 is the number of girls and N2 is the number of boys. So in that case, what I do, I just start counting how many number of boys and how many number of girls are there. So that is represented by n1 and n2. Okay, so now what I will do, I will write the equation n1. Okay, n1 is nothing but it is the number of atoms in E1 will be n naught e to power of, you have to write what is the energy corresponding to that level is E1. Okay, so n1 is equal to n naught e to power of E1 by kBT. So that is the from your Boltzmann equation. In the same way, if I want to know the number of atoms which are present in E2, then what I will do is I will use N2. N2 will be equal to N naught e to power of E2 by kBT. Okay, so this would give the number of atoms which are present in that particular energy level. N1 is the number of atoms which are present in E1. N2 is the number of atoms which are present in E2. Okay, so now you have to define the Boltzmann factor. What is the meaning of Boltzmann factor? Boltzmann factor is nothing but, so if you take a Boltzmann factor, it is nothing but, so Boltzmann factor is nothing but it is the ratio of n2 by n1 or n1 by n2. n2 by n1 will give the Boltzmann factor. So what is n2? n2 is n naught e to power of e2 by kt. Okay, and then n1 is n naught e to power of e1 by kt. So n naught would cancel. Then what you have is e to power of e2 minus e1 by kt. Okay, so that is your so or kbt. So kbt or kt. Well, you can use whatever you want. So this is your Boltzmann factor, e to power of e2 minus e1 by kbt. Okay, so just let me check because I think I did a mistake. This has to be, I think, e to power of minus e by kt. So just give me a minute. So yes, this has to be e to power of minus e. Okay, so I did make this mistake. So this has to be minus. So then what happens? So this will also be minus, and the next one is also going to be minus. So finally, what happens is you will have everything is this is also minus, minus, minus. Okay, so I have to change the same in the previous one. So I will do it later. Okay, so I'll do it later and I'll send you the answer or the final one. Okay, so now this becomes your Boltzmann factor. Okay, n1 is n naught e to power of minus e1 by kbt and n2 is n naught e to power of minus e2 by kbt. So then what happens is you will have Boltzmann factor is the ratio of n2 by n1 will be e to power of minus e2 minus e1 by kbt. Okay, so what is this minus e2 minus e1? Sorry, e2 minus e1. What is the e2 minus e1? This term, what is this? This is nothing but h nu. Okay, h nu is normally what we represent. Okay, but we will keep it just like that. So I will keep n2 by n1 is equal to e to power of minus of e2 minus e1 by kb into t. Okay, so this is your Boltzmann factor. So Boltzmann factor, it is the ratio of population of two energy levels. So in the same way, you can have n3 by n2. So then what happens? This will be e3 minus e2. Okay, like that. So this will be your Boltzmann factor. So there is some small concept that I want to cover with this. So we know the Boltzmann factor. So I will write directly the Boltzmann factor. So the Boltzmann factor n2 by n1 is nothing but e to power of minus of e2 minus e1 by kbt. So this is the Boltzmann factor. So now what is E2 and E1? E1 is the lower energy level, E2 is the higher energy level. Okay, E1 is lower energy level, and then E2 is higher energy level. So these are the two energy levels. So normally, as we saw in the previous case, we will have always that. Uh, so I'll just put an line here. This is a continuation. Okay, so whatever we did, it is a continuation. So now, if I take these energy levels, the lower energy level will have value lesser, always lesser compared to the higher energy level. Okay, so that means if you take the value for E1, E1 will be always less than E2. So that is the meaning of higher energy level and lower energy level. So now, as so therefore, so as E1 is lower energy level, then E2 is higher energy level, then we'll have E2 is always greater than E1. And in that case, what will happen to E2 minus E1? Is it greater than 0 or less than 0? E2 minus E1. So E2 is greater than E1. So then what will happen to E2 minus E1?
So greater than 0.
This is always greater than 0. So in that case, so this term is always positive. Okay, so I will write it again. So N2 by N1 will be equal to e to power of some positive value, but there is negative because of the minus of E2 minus E1. So then you will have something like this. So this is nothing but I can write it as e to power of some positive value by kBT. Okay. So whatever value of temperature or kb, so this will be 1 by E. 1 by E means it is like 1 by 2 to power of some x. So this will be always less than 1. Okay, so if I take this value, this will be always less than 1 because it is 1 by 2 or 1 to power of 2 to power of 0 is again 1 by 1, which is but normally you will not have that because temperature cannot be 0 Kelvin. So the temperature is whatever we talk here, it is always in Kelvin. Okay, so this is always less than 1 because 1 by 2 means 2 to power of 1 is 2, 1 by 2 is 0.5, and then 1 by 2 square is 1 by 4, which is 0.25, and so on. So this is always less than 1. So you cannot have this value more than 1. It is always less than 1. So that means your N2 by N1 is always less than 1. So this implies your N2 is always less than N1. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? What is N1 and N2? What is N2? N1 is the population of first energy level, which is your lower energy level, and then N2 is the energy of higher energy level. So the population of higher energy level is always less than the population of lower energy level, or number of atoms in higher energy level is always less than atoms, number of atoms. Okay, so number of atoms in lower energy level. So this is you need to remember. Okay, so these are the Boltzmann factor and its importance. Okay, so Boltzmann equation gives the number of atoms which are present in a given energy state, and Boltzmann factor is the thing, but it gives the ratio of two given energy levels. And from this Boltzmann factor, we can arrive at this equation. This is at steady state. Steady state means if you take any material, you will always have N2 is less than N1. Okay. So, okay, fine. So now, if this concept is fine, clear for you, then we will go to the next one. Okay. So you have to just remember this at a steady state, your N2 is always less than N1. Okay. So is it fine up to this? You should tell me like if it is fine or not. If it is fine, then we will go to the next one. Okay. Okay, fine. I hope everyone is listening. So these are very simple concepts. You don't have to worry too much, but you need to remember these things. Okay, so I will send you all these things. So try to remember all these things because this is very important for your next whatever you learn. Okay, so this is about your what we call as a population and Boltzmann factor. So you have to remember the what is the meaning of population? Population means it is the number of atoms which are given, which are present in a given energy state. And then what is Boltzmann equation? Boltzmann equation will give the uh, number of atoms which are present in a given energy state, which is nothing but again your the population. Okay. Then Boltzmann factor is nothing but it is the ratio of two energy levels like N2 by N1 or N3 by N1 or N3 by N2 or like that. Okay. So if you take N is a this is a general equation, Boltzmann equation. N is N naught e to the power of minus E by kBT. So then what happens if I want to know the number of atoms which are present in the first energy state, E1, then what I will do, N1 is equal to N naught e to the power of minus E1 by kBT. E1 is the energy corresponding to that level. Then if I want to know the number of atoms which are present in N2, then I will do N2 is equal to N naught e to the power of minus E2 by kBT. So that will give the number of atoms which are present in that given energy state, which is your E2 and E1. Okay, so then I will take the ratio of N2 by N1, that will give the Boltzmann factor. So that will turn out to be like N2 by N1 is e to the power of minus E2 minus E1 by kBT. So you will start with this equation. So this is your starting point. So what is the starting point? Starting point is you start with Boltzmann factor, which is your N2 by N1 is equal to something. So here E2 is the higher energy level, E1 is the lower energy level. So you will always have E2 is greater than E1. So in that case, what happens? E2 minus E1 will be always greater than 0. So if you use that condition in the first equation, so this bracket term will be greater than 0. So that means it will be e to the power of minus some value. So or e to the power of 1 by e to the power of x. So e means we can take that is roughly around 2. Then it will be always 1 by e to the power of x. So that means that your n2 by n1 will be always less than 1. Okay. So if your n2 by n1 is less than 1, that means n2 is always less than n1. Okay. So what is n2? N2 is population of higher energy level. The population of higher energy level is always less than the population of lower energy level. So that is your takeaway message from this mathematics. Okay. So whatever we did till now. Okay. So I have to change the something here. I will change it. Then we'll go to the next concept. Okay. Yes, I have written here properly. Okay. N is equal to N naught e to the power of minus E by kBT. That is your your population. Okay. Boltzmann equation. So N naught is the number of atoms which are in ground state. Kb is the Boltzmann constant. T is the temperature. Okay. Temperature of the material. Don't write it as absolute temperature. Sometimes this gives different meaning. Okay. So we will just keep T is the temperature of the material. Okay. Okay, fine. So now we'll go to the next concept, which is more about your last concept in theory of this, whatever theory you are learning. Okay. So we are going to learn the Einstein's theory. So we will learn more about the Einstein theory. Okay. So if you take the lasers, so normally lasers, it was the first laser is your Ruby laser. So Ruby laser is your first laser, so which was developed in almost 1963 or something like that. Okay, but if you want to, so this is your experimentally the first laser to be developed. But if you want to, if you go back and if you know the theory, So the theory was given by Einstein. Okay, so the theory behind laser was given by Einstein, which is in 1916, 1914 to 1916, okay, or 1917. So during this time, they give the theory. So the theory was given by Einstein. Okay, the theory for laser was given by Einstein. So that theory is known as the Einstein theory. And we are going to learn this because only then you can understand more about the working of lasers. Okay, so for this you need to again know the three different kinds of interaction of radiation with matter, which is nothing but the first one is your induced absorption, second one is your spontaneous emission, and the last one is your uh, stimulated emission. Okay, so you need to just recall those things: what is induced absorption, what is stimulated emission, and what is your spontaneous emission. So then what you do is you are going to just apply that same thing for a system, for a given system. Okay, so as I told, if you take any material, there will be n number of atoms. Okay, n is the number of atoms. So so even if I take for example, like the same thing, like I will take a iron block, or I will just change it to copper block. So there is a copper block, uh, so or silicon block, doesn't matter. So if I have silicon block, that means there are silicon atoms here. Okay, Si. So these are the silicon atoms. So I'm just going to write as maybe some uh, something like 4 3 12. Okay, so 12 atoms of silicon. Okay, so I'm considering 12 atoms of silicon. Then what happens? You can have different types of interactions. So right now all atoms are in ground state. If I give some energy h nu, then what happens? This is going to excited state, which is what we call as the induced absorption. So now if I give, if I, as I'm taking 12 atoms, so there are 12 atoms. So if I give something like 4 photons, then what happens? You'll have 4 atoms in excited state. Okay, so this 4 photons, whatever you are giving to the system, this we call it as the energy density. Okay, energy density is nothing but the number of photons incident or given to the system. Okay, to the system or your matter or material. Okay, to your matter or material. So if you say I'm just taking like 12 atoms, then what happens? If I give 4 photons, then what happens? 4 of them will go to the excited state. It can be any of them. So if I put a star, that means these are in excited state. Okay, so this is the process of making them to go to excited state, and it is called as a induced absorption, right? So you take atom which is in ground state, and then you make the atom to go to excited state. So then what happens? You call that as your the process is called as the induced absorption, right? So now I want to know how many number of atoms are going to the excited state per second. So that is what we call as the rate. Okay, so there is something called as rate of absorption, rate of emission. Okay, so there are two things: rate of absorption. So rate of absorption refers to the number of atoms that transit to E2. So that will transit from, okay, so I think we will write that completely. That will transit from E1 to E2 per second. Okay, so that is your rate of absorption. So that means within 1 second, how many number of atoms I can make them to go to E2. So if I am giving 4 photons, then within 1 second, I can make 4 atoms to go to the excited state. So that means the rate will be 4. 4 is the rate. That means because I am able to make 4 atoms to go to excited state. So instead of 4, if I give like maybe 6 or 7 photons. Okay, so instead of 4, what I'm doing is I'm giving 7 photons. So in that case, what happens? So that will lead to 7 of your atoms to go to excited state. So that now the rate is 7. If I make this in 1 second, so if I make all these 7 atoms to go to excited state within 1 second, then the rate is 7. Okay, so that is the number of atoms that will transit from, so that will give the rate. Okay, rate means the number of atoms that will transit from E1 to E2. So this is your absorption process. So now what happens after absorption? You also have something called as a, what is the next one? Absorption, and what is the second one? Rate of emission. Okay, so rate of absorption and then rate of emission, both are reverse. Okay, so you can have spontaneous emission or you can have stimulated emission. So I'm just taking only the emission. Okay, rate of emission, again, what does it represent is, it represents the same definition. Okay, so in the previous case, we were taking the number of atoms that transit from E1 to E2 per second. Now we need to have the emission. Emission means the number of atoms that transit or that will jump from E2 to E1, from higher energy level to lower energy level per second. So that will give the rate of emission. So again, so when it comes to rate of absorption, there is only one absorption, which is induced absorption. But when it comes to emission, there are two emission, which is the spontaneous emission and the stimulated emission. Okay, so now in this case, what happens? So there are atoms which are already in excited state. So as I told, so you make maybe 4 atoms to go to excited state or 7 atoms to go to excited state. So let us assume there are 7 atoms in excited state. So now what happens? These 7 atoms can come down to ground state by giving out some energy. So this is your spontaneous emission. Okay, so out of 7, I can make 3 atoms to go to undergo spontaneous spontaneous emission, and I can make rest of them. Rest of means, so out of 7, 3 are undergoing spontaneous emission in R, and then I will give 4 more photons, and this will result in 4 atoms to come down to ground state by giving out 2 photons. Okay, so each of them will be giving out 2 photons. Okay, so I'll just put a bracket like that. So this is what we call as a rate. Okay, rate normally refers to the number of process that would occur per second or per minute. So it is with respect to time. Okay, if I'm having like 4 atoms undergoing spontaneous emission, then 4 is the rate of spontaneous emission. If I'm having 3 atoms undergoing spontaneous emission, then 3 is that is the rate of spontaneous emission. Okay, so this is about the rate. Rate means it is the number of atoms that would undergo either absorption per second. Then that is the rate of absorption. And then if I take the emission, the same definition, but it will be reverse. Okay, the number of atoms that will transit from E2 to E1 per second is called as the rate of emission. Okay, so this you need to remember. So this is your rate of absorption or emission. Okay, so is it clear up to this? Is it clear up to this? Rate of absorption and rate of emission. You should tell. If it is clear, then I will continue with the next topic, or I will explain it again. Are you guys still there? So
Yes, sir.
okay. So I see only few people like uh, Ananya, Pallavi, Nishant, and Ayush. These are the people who are active. So what about others? You guys are still active or not? Because it's in the afternoon, it will be sometimes difficult. Okay, if this is clear, then what I will do is I will go to the next one. Okay, so these are the basics of Einstein theory. This itself is not Einstein theory. So these are very basics of Einstein theory. So then we will go to what is the actual Einstein theory. Okay, so if this is clear, then we will go to the next part. So as I told, rate of emission and rate of absorption. Rate of absorption, there is only one, which is your induced absorption, and rate of emission are there are two things, which is one is your spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. Okay, so we are going to just we will just see those things, and then I will stop today. Okay, so the first one is rate of induced absorption. Okay, so in exam, don't write IND because you have to write induced completely. Okay, rate of induced absorption. What is this rate of induced absorption? This is nothing but the number of atoms, okay, that undergo induced absorption per second. Okay, so that would give the rate. Okay, rate of induced absorption. So when it comes to rate means it will be always with respect to time or with respect to some quantity. Okay, it is normalized with time or normalized with material or surface like that. Okay, or area like that. So that will be the rate. Okay, with respect to time, with respect to some other physical quantity. Okay, so now in this case, what happens is if I you have to just show one diagram, so that is nothing but it will show the process. Okay, so you are going to send some photon of energy E2 minus E1 is equal to h nu. Then what happens, this photon is absorbed by the atom which is in ground state, and it will make the atom to go to excited state. Okay, so this is the atom which is in excited state. If I put star, that means it is in excited state. So now, when I say the rate means it refers to the number of uh, the number of atoms which are undergoing this kind of transition per second. So as I was telling in the previous class, sorry, previous slide, so you can have, so this will be again same thing, but it will be all three process. Okay, rate of three process. Okay. So I will just open this. So as I was telling, there can be large number of atoms. If I take 12 atoms and if I give 4 photons, then what happens? 4 photons will make these 4 atoms to go to the excited state. If it is if this process is occurring within 1 second, then what happens? 4 is the rate of induced absorption. Okay. So if I'm taking 4 atoms and then if I'm taking 4 photons and I'm sending this to a block of 12 atoms, then what happens? 4 of the 12 atoms is going to get to excited state. So then 4 is the rate of induced absorption. So this actually depends on the number of atoms. So this rate, whatever we are calling, this is directly proportional to N1. N1 is the number of atoms which are present in ground state, and also it is directly proportional to the energy density. Okay. So what is this energy density? So if you come back, this is what I was explaining here. So energy density refers to, so did I write somewhere? I don't know. Okay, fine. I think I wrote somewhere. I forgot where I wrote. Maybe here.
No, sir, in the old slide only you have written.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. So what we will do is I will just I have to give, okay. So I will write, I will define here only. Okay. So N1 is the number of atoms which are present in ground state. So that means if I take 12 atoms, that means I can make 12 atoms to undergo induced absorption. If I take 20 atoms, then I can make 20 atoms to undergo induced absorption. That means if I have more number of atoms in the ground state, then so this is your N1. So if I have more number of atoms in the ground state, then I can have more induced absorption. So that is the meaning of rate of induced absorption. It is directly proportional to the number of atoms which are present in ground state. Okay. Then what is the second term? Second term is your energy density. So energy density is nothing but, so it is a number of photons which are given to the system. So this is your energy density. So energy density is nothing but, it is the number of photons. So your U of nu, number of photons that are provided to the system, provided to the system. Okay. So this U of nu is your energy density. U of nu represents the number of photons which are provided to the system. So as I was telling in the previous slide, if I give 4 photons, okay, okay. So if I give 4 photons, then what happens? 4 atoms will go to the excited state. If I give 7 photons, then 7 atoms will go to the excited state. So this means this 4 and 7 is nothing but, it is your U of nu. U of nu is nothing but, it is the energy density per second. Okay. So that means that is your U of nu. So if I give more photons to the system, then I can have more induced absorption. So this rate of induced absorption depends on the population of ground state and also the energy density. So I'm going to just write it again, the same thing. Okay. So your rate of induced absorption is directly proportional to N1 and U of nu. So if I want to remove the proportionality constant, proportionality symbol, what I will do is I will put a equal symbol. Okay. So if I want to put a equal symbol, then I have to put a constant, proportionality constant. So this I will call as B12 N1 U of nu. Okay. So what you may ask, what is this B12? Okay. B12 is your Einstein's coefficient of rate of induced absorption. Okay. So it is a proportionality constant. So this is called as Einstein coefficient of rate of induced absorption. So that B21, okay, B21 is your Einstein coefficient of rate of induced absorption, and it is a proportionality constant. Okay. So you have to remember this B21. Okay. So I will explain you why B21, why not like M21, like my name is Madhu, so I will put M21 or M12 or M61, right? So this I will explain you why, okay, later. So for time being, you just remember that B12 is the proportionality constant. Okay. So and it is called as Einstein coefficient of rate of induced absorption. So this is for your induced absorption. So now what I will do is I will take the second one. What is the second one? Second one is you have spontaneous emission. Okay. So rate of spontaneous emission. Okay. So what is this rate of spontaneous emission? So what is what is your spontaneous emission? So spontaneous emission refers to the process of atom which is in excited state undergoing which is going to ground state by giving out some photon. Okay. So that means you take an atom which is already in excited state, which is in E2, and then what you will do is you will just wait for some time, which is for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. So after 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, what happens? This atom is going to come down to ground state by giving out some energy. So which is having energy of E2 minus E1. So that is your spontaneous emission. So now if I want to say rate means number of atoms that will undergo that undergoes transition from E2 to E1 per second. Okay, so this is this will give the number of so okay, just a minute. Okay, so this will give the rate of induced absorption, sorry, rate of spontaneous emission. Spontaneous emission rate means it is the number of atoms that will undergo transition from E2 to E1 per second. Okay, or you can also write the number of atoms that will undergo spontaneous emission per second. So instead of this transition from E2 to E1, you can just write a spontaneous emission per second. That will give the rate of your spontaneous emission. So now you tell me what are the factors that will be more important or that will affect the your spontaneous emission. In the previous case, if I had more number of atoms in E1, then that would give more number of induced absorption. Along with that, you had U of nu, which is nothing but is the external photons. If I give more number of photons, then I can have more number of induced absorption. But in this case, you need only the atoms which are in excited state. Okay, the reason is you don't need U of nu because you don't need to supply any external energy. So this rate is directly proportional to N2. Or if I want to put a equality symbol, then I will put the rate of your stimulated emission, sorry, spontaneous emission, rate of spontaneous emission is equal to, I'll put a constant, I will call it as A21 and then N2. Okay, so this is your rate of spontaneous emission in terms of N1 and N2. So here again, I will call this as equation number 2. The previous one I should call it as 1. And then what is A21? A21 is again Einstein's coefficient of rate of your spontaneous emission. Okay, so this is your Einstein coefficient. Okay, so then in the same way you can have the last one. So I will just finish that and I will stop it. Okay, because I think it is already too much for today. So if I take the rate of stimulated emission. Okay, what is the meaning of stimulated emission? So you take the atom which is already in excited state. Okay, so you take the atom which is already in excited state, and then what you do is you send some energy of E2 minus E1 is equal to H nu. Okay, so then what happens? This atom is going to come down to ground state. So this is going to come down to ground state by giving out two photons, which are your two coherent photons. So this is the process of spontaneous emission. Okay, so you take atom which is already in excited state, then you give some energy to the system, then you will make that atom to come to ground state by emitting two photons. Okay, so now if I want to say the rate, if I want to tell the rate, this is nothing but the number of atoms that transit or that will transfer from E2 to E1 per second by stimulated emission. Okay, so you can write this definition in any form. but you need to just remember that you have to write this per second, and that is the number of atoms. Okay, the number of atoms that will transfer or transit from E2 to E1 per second through your stimulated emission. So now in the similar to your previous case, so when you can have more number of stimulated emission, so you can have more number of stimulated emission when there is more number of atoms in the excited state. If I have like only 4 atoms in excited state, then I can make those 4 atoms to come down to ground state. Only like 4 atoms. If I have instead of 4, if I have like 10 atoms in excited state, then what happens? I can make 10 atoms to come down to ground state. So this rate is directly proportional to the number of atoms which are present in that excited state. Okay, this is similar to the previous one, which is your spontaneous emission. Okay, so along with this, you should also have you should also give some photons of specific energy. So this photons means, again, you need to give the energy density. Okay, so this also will come into picture. So this U of nu is coming into picture only in terms of induced absorption or stimulated emission. In the spontaneous emission, you don't need this. Okay, so now if I want to again put the equation equal symbol, then I need to bring in a constant of proportionality, which is B21, and B21 is called as, again, your Einstein's coefficient, Einstein coefficient of rate of stimulated emission. Okay, so these are the 3 different rates. Okay, so the first one is your rate of, so just a minute. Okay, so I will just open the previous one. So the first one is your rate of induced absorption. Okay, so this I will call it as equation number 1. So rate of induced absorption refers to the number of atoms which are undergoing induced absorption per second. Okay, and then what is rate of spontaneous emission? Rate of spontaneous emission refers to the number of atoms which are undergoing spontaneous emission per second. And the last one is rate of your stimulated emission. So the rate of stimulated emission refers to the number of atoms which are undergoing stimulated emission per second. So these are the 3 rates that you need to remember. Okay, so I think I will stop at this point, because then I will continue in the next class. Okay, so do you have any doubt up to this?